Welcome to Bogside Chats, where we're talking everything DeFi Kingdoms and keeping it casual. My name is Matty Pesk. Unfortunately, Guy Kid couldn't make it tonight. He's feeling a little under the weather, but I am joined, as always, by Franz. Franz, how are you?
I'm good. We got our formal wear on because it's a big day.
Big event.
Special episode.
Big event. We put on formal wear. I'm very glad. We are very excited. The entire Bogside crew is very excited to have none other than Workhorse on. Sir, welcome to the podcast. Thank you for coming on so much.
Thank you for having me, guys. I am absolutely stoked to be here.
We are super excited. Oh, thank you. You're too kind. Too kind.
Us too. Big time.
I mean, same. Yeah, same. I want to start out right off the bat. Congratulations for being added to the official Kingdom Studios team. Tell us, what is your job title at Kingdom Studios now? How should I be referring to? Game dev? I mean, is that too vague? I don't know.
Yeah, but before times when I was Wisdom Dude, I was just guy who helped things.
Yeah.
That was the official title. Now I am technically game designer, although I pushed really hard to be Hubert's minion was the title I was hoping for.
Oh, that'd be great.
But yeah, so game designer is technically my title as a part of Kingdom.
That's very cool. And how has that transition been so far? I mean, I know it's been probably only like a month-ish now, or maybe a little more than that, right?
It's practically not different. So how it basically broke down, and for those of you who don't know, I'm gonna provide some context. But basically, the company I used to work at, Wisdom Gaming, we were the development and creative aspect of the early PvP and PvE systems. And so while the brain trust of Beetle Dude and Hubert tackled some pretty heavy shit on the DFK front side. So this is like Clayton and DFK chain and stuff. Wisdom was brought in to help basically lay the groundwork for what would later become PvP and PvE. And so I was a part of that process for about, I don't know, like 14 months. We were working together on that stuff. And then once we got off the ground just enough, and basically the resources at Kingdom were able to focus on PvP, PvE like internally, then Wisdom transitioned away, and then Kingdom took over that work, which was like part of the plan the whole time. Basically, It was just to be a band-aid or a stopgap or whatever you want to call it,
or a stepping stone. Yeah,
like a wood tick, just like hung on there. And now I'm like. Now I found my way to actually stick with the squad, and I work, part-time as a game designer and contribute currently to PvP, PvE, and other secret things.
Oh,
which you're now going to list out.
And and we are now ready to hear those. Yeah.
No, so yeah. That's interesting though. So it's not just combat anymore. Now you're.
Yeah, I've been involved with a lot of different aspects of the game. But I guess at the core of what I do every day, like I wake up and I'm like thinking about it, is class and system design. And so that is the stuff that if you hate those things, you have me to blame. But I'm also working on, designing void hunts, designing future content, designing future other secret. Oh man, I just really want to tell you guys. But this is the problem with putting me with you guys. Is I just want to tell you all this stuff. So yeah, essentially. I touch a lot of different things. However, my core focus at the end of the day is to make sure that classes go boom.
Very cool.
They have been going boom so far. So
yeah, we're definitely
good job.
We have a ton of stuff we want to ask you about, and we I don't know. I'm nervous. We're going to go on random tangents, but I'm going to try and keep it concise so that we ask. We prepped ourselves and asked. We have some very smart questions. I like to think. But we'll see how it goes. But right off the bat, something you mentioned, I want to talk about it, is boar hunts. Obviously, like it's the biggest thing in the game right now. What are your general thoughts on basically what was released and what is out right now? Like, is this version of it what you wanted to see? Are you excited? Have you been playing it? Like, give me like just general kind of big picture thoughts on it right now.
All right, so boar hunts basically, void hunts in general as a genre to me functions sort of like trials in Final Fantasy 14. You guys ever played that game?
I didn't. It's kind of a little gap we have in my nerd resume, so I apologize.
Well, that's okay. That's okay. I mean, that game is a great game and is actually worth revisiting if you ever feel like it. But if you can ever pull yourself away from Baldur's Gate. But like,
They just did a new patch too. Sorry.
I know that there's a lot of good content there.
I know. There's a whole epilogue mission.
All right, Maddie.
Sorry. Sorry.
With Void Hunts though, so how trials work in Final Fantasy is you just show up and there's a boss. And so Void Hunts allows us to basically do a version of that. So it's not quite a raid, it's not a dungeon, but it is like a bite-sized little packet that allows us to collect information and allows us to make decisions about future content. So if you guys remember me talking about like the slime fights, I mean the blood fights, basically it was just like, please just go kill some things so we have data. This is basically a similar effect, but we're starting to implement what I would call like real implementations. So like Boars start to have actual mechanics that later future classes have, where there will be a theme that you'll probably see, which is like if a upcoming Void Hunt boss or group of monsters has a mechanic, probably that mechanic is being tested for what's coming next, kind of thing. And so like those effects, just making sure that they work, make sure they behave as intended is really like one of the big goals for me. Obviously balancing is great. Boars was designed originally to have basically about a 25% win rate out of the gates, and it was like a 24% win rate out of the gates. So we got really close. I don't know if we're gonna hit that every time, but the next fight's gonna kill everybody. Like my intent is like 5% win rate.
Well, so all right.
So enjoy.
So I do. We have a lot of questions, especially on that analytics. Like that is something we definitely want to talk about. I'm very curious on, but I did want to ask that up front, like with the design of it being just one level. Just straight up, like, why did you guys not go about the thing of like having like a first level that's like one baby boar, you kill it, the next round being two baby boar, the next round being like, and then maybe a harder round afterwards that's like two mama boars, you know, like why was it that one and done design versus like the like building up levels?
Sequential content will happen.
Okay,
that will occur, and that will come in a couple different forms. Hubert has actually a beautiful vision of how he wants that laid out. I can't share it.
Sure.
In fact, he should share it because he's very good at explaining what it is he wants to do.
Okay.
But like dungeon-like content. Like this is the beginning of it's like the planting the seed of how we design those things, because this is sort of like a JRPG. It's sort of like an MMO. It's sort of like none of those things. It's sort of like Darkest Dungeon, but it's not really that either. And so like we're trying to find our sweet spot of like, okay, so what feels good? Like a boar hunt can last anywhere from 3 minutes to maybe too long, you know, like some are some struggle battles. I've been in some long ones, although I'm a masochist and I went double priest knight for a very long time.
Oh god.
Which take a look at my win rate. It works.
Interesting.
But like, what is your win rate?
It's like 87%.
All right, the game's too easy. You gotta
the game's too easy.
Yeah.
But when it comes down to it, like this is just, we've done this many times and we will continue to do this, which is we do a little toe dip, learn from it, and then comes the big thing, or it comes the next whatever. And you know, we have 4 classes now. This Boar Hunt was a big part of us getting able to start rolling out more classes. The next Void Hunt will also be an opportunity for us to roll out more classes. And so we're basically getting into, I basically think I can sleep at night once all the basics are out. Until then, I don't know if I can sleep very good. So hunts like this help because it gives us that information and that community feedback to like know, is this working? Is this not working?
Right.
Is it too hard? Is it hard enough? Is it too easy? Like these are hard things to figure out when we're dealing with a 3v3 MOBA MMO JRPG card game. You know. Well,
I think it's interesting. And I know Franz, one of the questions Franz has was about analytics, and I'll let him ask that. But I want to jump in real quick before then. You know, why? I don't know. I guess I'm repeating the question earlier, but like, why not do the like tiered thing of like beat level 1 to get to level 2? Like, is this just ease of use to do it this one and done kind of situation?
Time.
And okay, yeah.
So there's a delicate balance, which I would wager is, I would say is impossible to hit, but we want to be pushing out content as fast as possible.
Right.
But we also don't want the content to be trash. So once we have a piece of the puzzle that we're like, okay, this is a relatively complete piece. Here's the piece. even though it's just one part of the big puzzle, it's enough where it's like, okay, these guys aren't making garbo.
Right.
That's basically it. So like releasing this now was a way to basically get it out there that, hey, real content is coming.
Yeah.
There's a much bigger vision here, but like for now, it's like here's a little amuse-bouche to.
Oh, excellent. Yeah.
Yeah. No, and yeah, going off of that, and Maddie alluded to it a few times, that I wanted to ask about analytics. You kind of gave that answer that you guys are collecting a lot of data from this. As far as like what you're collecting, do you have like information on like the most used moves, the most frequent or most successful combinations? Like is it more data just about how the mechanics of the game are working, or is it more on kind of like metadata of the player base?
It's more like, are people happy with it? Are people playing it? How many times are people actually running through this thing? Is it something that people want to do every day? Is it something that people want to do 5 times a day? Like the thing that is exciting to me, and this is stuff you can actually just see publicly too, is just like, it hasn't really slowed down. People are still just grinding it. And that bodes incredibly well for like when there's many of these out. When you have a buffet to choose your amuse-bouches from, like that stuff's really cool. And for me, like there's more than just how do I do this without saying cheesy?
Please be cheesy. Please be cheesy.
I'm a cheesy guy. So this analytics are great and information is great, but I am doom scrolling our Discord and on Twitter, just like paying attention to what everyone is thinking and feeling, because feeling and perception, those are very powerful things. We may have nailed that 25% win rate, but if people felt like it was too hard, well, that 25% win rate doesn't matter.
Yeah.
If it wasn't fun, well then shit. Okay, we aim too hard. That kind of thing. And so numbers can say some things, but like in reality, that random dude who just @s me on Twitter and says "fuck you, Workhorse," I'm just like, okay. Yeah, that's information.
Oh, come on.
Well,
we love you. We love you. The community loves you so much. I hate to hear you get upset by that one guy. Like, screw that one guy. Like, come on.
Not after I lose a boar hunt, I don't love him so much. It's short-lived, but but you answered my follow-up question there. It was going to be, how much of what you guys are doing and what you're changing is based on analytics and how much is based on community sentiment, because you have to balance both of them, sure.
Yeah, and I think community sentiment's going to be challenged the next one. It's going to be really hard.
Oh, I'm so excited now.
And I think people are going to be like, what the fuck are they thinking? Because, like, you got to be able to win, or do you? I don't know. We'll find out.
Well, that goes back to what I was saying of, like, a challenge that has, like, several levels where it's, like, level 1 and 2 are such gimmies. You have that, like, good emotion. But then when you get to the, like, other levels, it's, like, literally almost impossible.
Right.
So you get that, you earn that hatred at the end because you get those wins early on,
there hasn't been like a formal decision internally in terms of like how we do sort of tiered content like that.
Yeah,
but like one of my favorite things in life, in video game life, was Mythic Dungeons, like doing +20s with the homies on a Saturday. It was just a pure joy. And so I would love to have some sort of Mythic Dungeon tower system. Granted, this is me talking as a player.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
As a dude, this is not me representing DFK in that statement, because that is by no means a thing.
Right.
Yes. Let's see if I can get people.
I heard yet there, yeah.
but really, like, that tiered content will come.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of us getting content out. Because to me, on like the gameplay side, we just have a couple of pieces of content, and we need like dozens.
Well, and all right, so circling back to the analytics question, in the future, when maybe we're doing more stuff with the blockchain, are you guys going to be paying attention to what classes are being used more, what moves are being picked? Like, is that something that's on your radar in general?
So let me add to that before you kind of answer there, because I was curious about that too, from the perspective of the amazing builders that we have in this community and the side sites that pop up with good games like World of Warcraft, all the kind of peripheral sites that come up. Like, will they have access to that to build those? Yeah,
that is a great question. I don't have the answer to that one.
Okay,
but DFK has one of the best API systems that I've
Fact.
ever seen.
Yeah.
And so like having a Raider IO type thing with WoW would be huge.
Yeah.
I mean, we already have like a couple of like seriously great candidates brewing. And so like, frankly, we might even see that metadata. But I mean by metadata, I mean like meta data.
Right.
Coming out.
Game meta.
Metadata coming out on third-party sites faster or first. Because in reality, we're pushing a lot of content through a bottleneck on the studio side. So some things like that, like, oh man, the leaderboard going up.
Right.
That's great. That's great. We didn't need to make that. That's awesome. That means we get to spend more time working on the next Void Hunt or working on the next whatever, you know. Like,
that's like the beauty of Web3 and like why some of the reason why I'm so excited about this, you know, Web3 gaming in general. And I think DFK, because like adding all those, all the aspects of an MMO that like, there are people creating things like separately from the main team that are like improving the entire ecosystem. I think it's very, very exciting because I think that, like, because I mean, even look at like existing games that have like meta reports, you know, like, you know, Hearthstone, you know, there's like a huge community of people. Like there's like entire podcasts that are like, okay, this past week, this was what people were playing and stuff like that. And like the fact that like doing it with Web3 is going to make that like such an improvement. And I think it's going to be super exciting.
I agree. And that's actually one of the things that like, if I had like one like public facing campaign that I would do on behalf of Kingdom, it would be like me trying to twist people's arms into making more shit using DFK things. Because in reality, like the more community builders we have, the more cool shit. Like
totally.
There's definitely some weirdo out there that will make some crazy cool game or mini game or whatever spin off of this that will just light up the community. Like it's just a matter of time. And when those things happens, all it does is enrich what we're trying to do just in general.
Yeah, and shout out to the ADFK guys. They have their arcade game that's already doing it. So yeah, it's
actually just met with those dudes the other day about like a secret thing that they're working on. Is pretty dope.
Ooh.
All right, so we're gonna
those
have
guys
to get
have secrets too.
So now we're gonna have to have them on the podcast. Great. Yeah. All right. Well, that I think is a good segue into a topic we wanted to talk about, and that's balancing or game balancing or some questions I had on that. So I think I'll ask. I know, Franz, you had a couple on this, but I want to ask my question first of what is your like general philosophy on game balancing? And I think this is going to be a dumb question. I thought this was a dumb question because I think it's very basic and obvious, but I mean, we look at stuff that like might be overpowered. So I think, you know, I've called out several times the monk with Last Stand, I think is going to be overpowered. If you decide as a team in whatever, you know, game group you guys have that this specific class or hero or move is overpowered, what are your plans to change that? And again, I think the like obvious answer is like, well, we'll just like make it not as strong. But like what is your like in general policy on like this is decidedly an overpowered thing for whatever reason? This is, you know, how it happened. Like, how are you going to move forward with changing that? I feel like it's an obvious question, but also I do want to hear what you have to say. Like,
sure. So I guess the obvious answer is, just patch it out.
Right. We'll just make it 10% less or whatever, right? Like,
so if you think about like how League of Legends handles it, or Teamfight Tactics, or Heroes of the Storm for my old favorite game, you just patch it out. Every few weeks, it's like, okay, guys, Monk is insanely powerful. We're going to dial this back, and you publish the patch notes. It's actually kind of fun because how I grew up in games is I love living games.
Sure.
So games that feel very alive, and patches make me feel like things are alive. And because this is an opportunity to like basically alter the ebb and flow of that competitive meta. And that's actually something I really look forward to.
Sure.
Granted, I do live in the Dota 2 camp where OP is okay as long as it's fun and isn't.
Well, like there's going to be strong. There's going to be strong combinations.
Right.
Like, those will exist. Like,
and if you can pull those combinations off, then kudos, congratulations, you deserve that ridiculous OP opportunity. So, like, to your question on the AMA a couple weeks ago, which was like, hey, can these infinite combos exist in this game? My answer is some of them we're going to limit because we published limit with the Boars.
Right.
So like there will be limits to some things. However, some of them I'm gonna just be like, if you can do that, like, yeah, fuck, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Like that's like
if you hit a 5% chance
steps,
like 5 times,
steps,
yeah, exactly, yeah,
you know,
yeah.
and, like, I'm like,
So-
please do it. And
an
like
appreciation.
Oh, go ahead.
An appreciation for the troll, the meme decks, so to speak.
100%.
Right, yeah.
I mean, I don't know if I was talking to you guys about this, but I definitely talked about how I used to be just like the worst Magic the Gathering player to play
Sure.
against.
To play against. Oh,
To play
okay.
against.
I thought you were the worst. I'm like, oh, I understand.
No,
I
was
understand.
an okay player.
I was bad at that game as well.
I love to play blue-green control and fog decks, so
Mhm.
like nobody had fun. But me, you know, and I used to like just take turns, you know. Anyway, so like there is a place for that. There is a place for silliness and tomfoolery. But what there isn't a place for is uninteractable shit that you can't deal with. Like, okay,
like you queue up, it's 1v1, and then it's like, oh, that person's that thing. We're done. It's over.
Yeah.
No strategy. No anything. Like,
table
yeah, I
flip,
agree.
like,
With that. Yeah.
That's not allowed. So like, actually, the first thought I had when you said, "Hey, what's your balance philosophy?" My answer actually is fun. Is this fun? Is this like, you know, like I'm in my spreadsheets, doing my spreadsheet things, and I'm putting in numbers, and I'm like, this is going to be great. Like, I don't know until we actually do it, that this is going to be balanced, or like, you know, like what's 1.2 times attack really going to do, and like how much is you know 3.0 strength going to add to this? Like, I think I feel that this is going to be good enough, but like I won't know until it's out there, and in reality, that's just tweakable over time. Like right now, today, and tomorrow, I'm trying to get Warrior buffed because I don't think it's good enough.
Wow.
I like
that's
that.
a little alpha right there.
I like that a lot.
It might not happen. It really might not happen because, you know, it's a pretty nice.
If I could request something,
right
I would
now.
say increase the taunt chance on that taunt move.
Because
like that's 60%. If it could get to like 75 or even, I mean, 80 might be broken, but like if it could get very high, I would love that so much more.
Not all taunts are created equal. There will be other classes with
well,
other
yeah,
taunts.
Franz has a lot of opinions on taunt.
Before we get into taunt, while we're petitioning for things, I use cleave for the warrior, and I feel like it debuffs the attack a little bit much. So if you want to just spice that up a little bit.
You know, honestly, I agree. I'm going into fights and I'm looking at my roster and I'm just like, yeah, I'm just gonna take 2 knights. You know, like right now, and I'm just like, that's not how I want us to feel. I want us to be like, man, this is a hard call. What am I in the mood for tonight? You know, what kind of potions are we like?
Exactly.
That's like this game, although there are 3 slots, is a deck builder game. Really, at the end of the day,
I agree.
You have 3 decks that all work in harmony together, and you choose those 3 decks amongst 32 other decks.
And not even talking about items, which is a whole separate thing, but like
other thing.
There's going to be many choices you have to make pre-game.
Yeah.
You know, before you go into the battle, that I think are almost as important, if not potentially more important. Than actual, yeah.
And that's so the balance question. It's got to be fun. It's got to be, you got to be using your brain. You have to be like, I want choices. You know, like if right now, if I'm looking at like warrior, I'm not even going to take it into the fight. That's not a choice. That's
not fun. That's not fun. Yeah, exactly. Fun. Yeah.
Also, I fucking love lifesteal warrior mechanics, and it's just not powerful enough.
Yeah,
it just isn't good enough.
If his lifesteal could get a boost, that would definitely change my opinion on that.
That would change how I'm setting up my warrior, because right now it's the first column, which I'm spacing on the name, but the basic attack warrior.
Right. Yeah. There's like a combo. There's a combo build with yeah.
I would say basic attack warrior. We pretty much got that right in the pocket.
Right. It's great.
And I'd say lifesteal a little on the weak side.
Yeah.
And then the tank version of warrior, pretty good. It actually in testing was so good. It was like so Winston and Sasha are like the best testers. Sasha in particular like takes it upon himself to like, he plays a lot.
Well, he's number 1 in win rate right now.
I mean, as he should be.
He gets his loss down in the test grounds, but whatever.
He gets to study for the exam. But like,
right. Yeah.
But like when we started testing warrior, like warrior was like, we never need a knight tank. You can just go with 2 warriors and one of them's a tank, and there you go. And like part of me was like,
That's fine.
that's fine.
Yeah.
But also part of me is like, well, now we're making the decision that knight isn't. And
Right.
this becomes less of a problem when there's more classes, but when there's only 4 right now, it becomes like, to me, a much louder problem that needs to be addressed or kind of, smoothed out a little bit.
And that's
So
also no, sorry, go ahead.
No, please, you.
No, I was going to say that's something that might kind of work itself out a little bit as levels increase, right? Because a warrior or a knight, the HP growth is that much higher, and that might kind of differentiate between the knight as a tank and the warrior as a tank.
Right. Because there's an element of looking at 2 skills, because knight more in knight and then rough, gruff, buff, that build.
Warrior, yeah.
More, thank you. There are similar skills. But sort of like knight has, 25 choices on how to be a tank, whereas warrior has just these choices.
There's a track in knight with endurance that if it has high endurance, like it becomes
really tough,
unstoppable.
It's pretty great. And
it's super fun, but you need to be like, it's not going to be till like level 40 or 50 that we see it like fully in action, because it's got like a couple level 10 moves that like, it's honestly, it could be broken. I mean, obviously, I don't want to say that to the guy that actually makes the balancing decisions, but like it could be broken.
So I've heard you say it could be broken a lot, like throughout my viewership of the pod. But in reality, you say that could be broken to almost every class, which is not.
Don't reveal my secrets to the world.
but that means, okay, there are some very strong abilities in every class, which is like maybe that is. In a vacuum, it is this looks insane and totally stupid, but within the context of the array of weird shit that you're going to encounter, it might be just fine. And that and that is where we're kind of driving to. That's the Dota 2 thing, right? Where like there's abilities there that are stupid, but like actually,
but like everything is stupid, so it's stupid. All equal.
Exactly.
Kind of following off of that, and shout out to Wowie in the chat. He kind of said what I was thinking as far as the next question. Shout out to the whole chat. We've been kind of ignoring you guys, but
sorry, chat.
We're hooked into this. We'll we'll interact more later. But no, my question's about kind of the way that the initial hero stats were set up versus the codexes. It seems like a lot of the codexes have strayed away from, or when I say a lot, I'm really using the archer as kind of a case study on this.
Thief applies too, but keep going. Yeah, sorry.
Okay. But it seems like the codexes have strayed away from the stat growth, where stat growth with the archer, it's, dexterity obviously, but then endurance and strength being the next 2 highest. It seems like that you went to more traditional RPG kind of tropes, I guess, with the agility and luck being more impactful. Was that a conscious decision where you were like, discussions with you and Hubert, where you guys were like, hey, no, it needs to be more agile, more luck based? Or was that just something that you were building what you saw as an archer, and you looked at the finished product and it has these stats good now?
It's a little bit of both, because there's a science to this, but there's also like there's like a poetry to it, but like it's those decisions kind of happen more or less in real time as we approach sort of the class taking shape. So the way that I like to design is I think about class theme. What does it feel like to play the thing? And then are there versions of how that feels? And splitting those into those 3 different archetypes, which become our disciplines. And so incorporating the growth stats into how each one would feel is sort of where it starts. And sometimes it evolves great, and it ends up in a spot where this seems pretty balanced. We achieve the feel while also like honoring and embracing those growth stats. But sometimes we get to the end of the line, and we're like, oh man, this is probably not going to be very good if we just keep doing it. Like, so that's kind of a hard part. Like when we got to Monk, like Monk has every stat is basically 55% to 65%. So like it was like, okay, what kind of identity do you want with Monk? So we could try anything, but then it became kind of a spaghetti mess. So trying to focus it on, a more of like a clear, direct path made just kind of how it made sense in the moment. As we evolve and as we keep doing this, I completely reserve the right to like totally throw that out the window and try something different. because we're about to embark on advanced classes. Like, who says advanced classes are going to function the same way as basic classes on some of these things? And so it could get spicy, it could get different, or we could just toe the line. Really, at the end of the day, I'm a huge D&D fan. I'm a huge high fantasy fan. I want these classes to feel like the archetypes that we're used to, but with like a twist enough so that it feels like it's new and fresh, and then like it feels kingdomy. And so sometimes
would you say DeFi kingdomy?
DeFi kingdomy.
Sorry, that was a bad joke.
So I would say there's like some ways that it works and some ways it doesn't, and it's almost like on a case by case basis. So that was kind of a roundabout way of saying it depends.
Yeah.
No, but that was I like that answer because it kind of gave us a little insight into the way that your process and the way you go about it. And so far I've enjoyed the way you've strayed away from those initial, kind of hard coded stats. So
Archer, Knight, and Priest were the first 3 classes that we, as like designed and all agreed upon that these were the ones that we were okay sharing with the public. And from there, for some reason, it was just like a brain explosion, and everything just like went everywhere. Hopefully, I didn't mess up the audio.
You're fine. Yeah.
And Knight, Archer, and Priest are solid, but we're definitely going to revisit them. I'm not, and we're not afraid to rework classes, especially as they evolve over time.
This was something that I was maybe going to wait to the end to try and pull from you, but what is the priority there in terms of codices?
Yeah.
Are you working on? I'm sure the priority right now is trying to get out more classes for the boar hunt.
Right.
But like after that, is it tweak or refine current ones, or work on the new advanced ones? Like, what is the priority there?
So right now the priority is definitely just getting shit out.
Right, that's what I figured.
So pretty much everything's going to be going full bore until basics are out. But
full what?
Till basics are out.
Full bore though.
Full bore. Oh, thank
you.
Yeah, okay. Completely unintended. But all classes have been designed.
Wow.
That's. I consider that alpha.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that you'll see them anytime
soon. No, I'm not. Yeah.
So designing a class, basically. All right, let's take Dark Knight, because I fucking love Dark Knight. Dark Knight I designed 12 months ago.
Holy shit.
But in reality, what was done 12 months ago does not make any sense for how the game has evolved and how it's been built. So now, when reapproaching a class like Dark Knight or an advanced class that's coming, like we get to go, okay, cool. Here's all the cool ideas that came from before. Wow, this one's super busted. Wow, this is super weird. Why did I even think of this? And then apply basically what I'm calling like our modern conventions, which is like, it's my lame way of saying like this game has updated so many freaking times. This is like iteration 7 or 10 or whatever. Yeah. That what once was good may no longer be good. And so while all the classes have been designed fundamentally, the flavors have definitely evolved in my mind in terms of how they should interact with each other. And then in terms of just power, general power, because as you guys know, this is going to be the hardest part of it, is how growth works with advanced classes and beyond compared to basic classes, because the intent and the goal and the dream is to have basic classes be relevant forever.
Yeah.
Like your Mythic Knight will be playable at 100 in a meta, like that's the intent. And so finding ways to curve some of those things, because like 1.2 times attack plus 7.0 times strength, that shit is going to be pretty potent on any class that's not an archer. So, or that's an advanced class or higher. So you'll see those numbers be pulled back a little bit so that it is a little more on a playing field. That being said, you still need to honor the people that have invested in getting those harder classes. And so it's like, finding those sweet spots is definitely a thing. And so those old classes, like me saying that all of them are designed, yes, that's true, but they will definitely be updated a bunch of times before you guys see it.
And I think
a bunch of times after that.
Yeah, and this is something I should have followed up on when we were talking about like the balancing, like the weird twist, not weird twist, but like the twist in all of this is that these are NFTs and they're permanent, hypothetically, they're permanent property of the players. So like, making these adjustments like has I don't want to say huge, but has a financial impact on everyone. So like I not to give you any, not to stress you out, but like the stakes are high.
I
like
do my very best to not think about that. It's sort of like oh boy, designing a game with these kind of constraints is very difficult, and
yeah.
I would argue borderline unprecedented.
No, it's never. I don't think it's ever been done. I mean, I think I like talking about that stuff about Hearthstone. Like there's literally podcasts where they talk about the meta changing week to week, and like they have updates and patches where they change things. But like that's because all the in-game assets are completely owned, or not owned is the wrong word. They're not owned. They're the game company. Makes the decision on how everything acts. So it is like a completely different beast to be balancing a Web3 game. So hey, yeah, good luck.
Yeah, have fun with that.
I guess there's not a question there, but
it'll be a challenge, but it'll be a fun one, and we'll meet it. I mean, frankly, like I said, actually I said during soundcheck, I didn't say it during the stream, but like the people at Kingdom, the people on the design team, they're 10 out of 10. Like,
oh yeah,
if there's anybody who's going to figure it out, it's going to be these wild people who have giant giga brains. It's good. These are the folks that I personally, even before I was a part of the team, I was like super obsessed with this game. So like getting to know them and getting to know how capable and talented they all are, these guys will figure it out, and it'll be tough. There will be ups and downs, but it definitely will be something that we can overcome.
No, I fully trust. Yeah. We wouldn't still be here if we didn't feel that way. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
and speaking for the chat too, we've all been with this team for 2 years.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
I guess that's true.
It's crazy how this community kind of does feel like a family in that way. Like we've all been through this bear market together, and if you look at the price of Jewel, we're starting to reap the rewards a little bit. So it's all good stuff, definitely.
Actually, Franz, this was your question. But I do want you to ask it about the balancing.
What about the balancing?
Like,
why don't you just ask it?
All right. So the question was basically, and again, this is kind of like a big picture thing, but like, are you going to take into account public sentiment versus your analytics? Like, if the people are,
yes, this.
Well, no, but like,
you want a direct answer.
like if people are complaining about stuff.
Yes and yes. Like, if. Okay, let's say Warrior came out and it was just like so trash and just like unusable. Yeah,
right.
We'll listen to that.
Well, based on what metrics though? Like if no one's using it.
If no one's using it, if no one is winning with it.
Right.
And if people are yelling at me and sliding into my DMs.
Right. Well,
sending me dumpsters on fire and saying thank you for this. Like. Yeah, we're going to listen to that shit. You can definitely bully me into balancing things differently.
I'm glad I asked this question. I asked the question. Okay.
You're right, but also like Workhorse, chill. Like do you realize what you're bringing on yourself right now? It's a Styx intern is salivating right now. He's like, oh, I'm going to get whatever I want. I'm just going to annoy him.
I only listen to people in Friend Tech. That's it. So that's the only
guy. Now he has a definite advantage.
Smart.
Not Stars Arena. Okay.
Yeah.
Pay to rebalance. That's what it's called.
No,
that is a
P2RB. P2RB. It's a new term. Yeah. All right. I guess we could move off balancing. Maybe I was pushing that too hard.
So can I ask about Taunt quick?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna move on to next. Yeah.
So Maddie made it seem like I have this like big taunt thing. I was just curious because it's one of the status effects that we did get a change to already.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one that I think there are a lot of different ways that you can kind of go about it. Can you talk a little bit about the thought process for the first iteration, maybe why you changed it, and most importantly, are you happy where it sits now?
I'll do it backwards. Am I happy where it is now? No.
Good, because me either. So.
Why was it changed? Because it was too powerful.
Okay.
Why was it done in the way that it was initially? Because we wanted it to be powerful, but not as powerful as it was. So we're trying to find the sweet spot. There is definitely a design decision that has evolved over time, which is not everything is a guarantee. And so things with 100% success rate we're going to be not doing. Now, heals.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Thanks to your allies, that for now is safe.
Okay.
And I would suck so bad to not be able to heal your homie in that dire moment.
Yeah, you miss a heal.
Or would it be incredible? I don't know. It's hard to know.
No, it'd be terrible. But no.
All right. All right, good.
Was that rhetorical? No.
I just won't use priests anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
Ever.
Yeah,
I'll burn them all.
Yeah.
100% the heals of no healers don't heal.
Yeah.
So basically, not everything can be 100%. In fact, everything is going to not be 100% when targeting enemies.
Okay.
I'll say that.
That's some alpha.
But in general, there will be things that will help you get closer to 100. So, like, your taunt is 50% is, the base integer that you entered the battlefield with. And then we have now evolving our stat scores, which is going to be a much smoother. This is a Hubert special. Like, he just maths his brain to the moon. With these stat scores, it allows us to smooth out how powerful and predictable abilities are. So, like, let's say the taunt is like 50, I'm drawing in my brain.
Sure.
Actually, yeah.
Wow! This is a box side exclusive. Box side exclusive.
Oh, look how dark that is. Okay, and this it's a little bit better.
Perfect. Yeah.
All right. So
just draw more to the near side. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
All right. So let's say that our taunts.
I should have gotten popcorn.
Maybe no, that's not okay. I'll go bigger. Hold on.
It's all right. Don't worry.
So our taunt has a
we will figure it out later.
50% chance plus a 1 times strength score.
Gotcha.
Can you read that? So that's an R.
Yeah.
So basically, this smooths things out as your strength of your hero in relation to the strength of all heroes evolves over time. That adds up to providing a higher taunt success rate. So this could be approximately like 60% or something like that. And that will generally be better unless your taunter starts to scale harder on strength and you start seeing something more like 62% over time as in relation to others. However, there are some abilities that are like 4 and like this basically is 100% essentially, but it has a chance for that error to occur still.
And with taunt, the kind of attributes of the tauntee don't matter as far as getting. I mean, they have their resistances.
They have their resistances.
Okay.
Yep. So there is a check. There's always a check. Pretty much everything has a check. Because we're D&D players.
So it seems that the stat strength is playing more towards min-maxing, right? Because now if I'm building, say, an archer, right, and I want to have really high dex, now I'm kind of competing against the average dex across the kingdom, right?
Yeah, you don't need to worry about it too much. Let's
just move on. Let's just move on. That's it. Yep.
No, what I mean is, like, if you have a high strength character, it'll work out in the end. Whereas before, it was kind of a squash, because before, if you had like sort of a shitty strength, it would just not result in you being able to taunt anybody successfully.
Okay.
So it was a way to kind of compress it. Granted, if you are still of a higher growth rate, you will still see that higher end of success. And if you have a shitty growth rate, you still have not shitty success. It's decent success.
Okay.
And that was one of the changes that we made. Now, that really means that we'll be showing up with larger or higher. Well, I was gonna say the integer will sometimes be.
I was gonna say the base prior to it. Right? Yeah.
However, that's not true for everything. Chat didn't see this, but in sound check we were talking a little bit about this. But like, not all taunts are created equal.
Right.
There will be, tier 2 or tier 3 taunts, but there will be tier 7 taunts. And those tier 7s, they should probably be more successful because they're going to cost more mana.
Yeah.
That requires you to be a much higher level. You should probably just be simply better at being the class that you are by the time you're there. Because I still adhere to that, like, introductory magic, basic magic, advanced magic, and then like adventurer level magic. And so by the time you're in that level of adventuring and mastery, you are just really good at what you do And so that's why things that are earlier tiers that cost less mana, you can do it more frequently because theoretically, in the grand scheme of things, you're better at using and utilizing your mana like as you grow.
Those are your cantrips.
Yes.
And just a clarifying question from our friend Sticks Intern in the chat. When you say calculated based on all heroes, you mean all heroes in the kingdom or all heroes in the match currently?
All heroes in the kingdom.
Okay.
All of Styx's heroes.
Just Styx's heroes?
Yeah, if he doesn't have one of the classes though, whoever has, whoever.
Okay, so it's going to be a very low threshold.
Right. Yeah, his heroes are terrible, so good.
Not great. Cool.
Sorry, go.
I'm now panicking, wondering if I just gave away a formula that Hubert didn't want me to give away, but we'll find out.
Yeah.
Hey,
don't worry. We'll edit it in post.
Yeah,
don't worry.
Yeah.
I want to talk about cleanse / purify, but before we do that, and this is more just fun, I'm excited just to theory craft with you. So I asked this question in an AMA, I think like 2 weeks ago, about repeat, because I think repeat is an insane move in general. So far we've only seen it. I believe we've only seen it in the pirate and the scholar.
Right.
I believe, yeah. And so my first quick question that Bolon, which by the way, this is something we need to talk about separate from this. Bolon likes to use, he does a summary of the questions and then he asks like his version of it. I've noticed this a couple times,
Okay.
I know he's trying to be nice, but I'm asking my specific question.
We'll take that up with Bolon. Let's not.
Anyways. So the version of pirate, the repeat for pirate is a chance. It's like repeat X, and it's a D20.
Yeah.
You got to hit on a 20 to do it. For the scholar, it's giving repeat to someone else. Is there that same initial D20 roll as part of the scholar's repeat? No, I didn't think so because it'd be dumb to.
The D20 is thematic.
Right. But I mean, the scholar giving repeat to someone else. If it was only a chance for it, I would never do it. You know what I mean?
Right. Exactly. One of the elements of like, can you miss when you target an ally? That's
right. Yeah. But also, I love the kind of idea of the scholar being like, I'm giving you this information, like I'm empowering you because I'm so smart, and the pirate being like, we're just rolling the dice.
Exactly.
So my general question is, can you create a like broken combo of a scholar giving repeat to a pirate repeat move and creating kind of like almost infinite repeats?
Yes.
So like initially, in general, the answer is
totally. Mathematically, totally possible.
Right, because it's unlikely. But I guess my question is, let's assume the pirate never gets repeat on the roll.
Mm-hmm.
So the scholar gives him repeat on a repeat move.
Mm-hmm.
And every time the pirate rolls it, he gets 0. There's still a minimum. It happens twice because of the scholar, correct?
Right.
See that. I mean, that's immediately like the minimum is 2. The maximum is
infinity.
Yeah. Okay.
So this is something that we're going to always look at and we're always going to keep an eye on. So like, I can hear Hubert in my back of my mind right now going, which is like these guys. But like we won't know until we open up Pandora's box with that one. I think it'll be just fine. He may not feel that way.
Because it's only a 5. The pirate only has a 5% chance.
Well, it's a very low chance. But to me, those moments are what I want to see.
Yeah.
Like I think I've said this before, but I'm so passionate about it. I'm just gonna say it again. Just like those esports moments, man. Like we're watching, whatever, some big stream, whatever. There's casters and everyone's hyped and losing their shit. Chat's going crazy, and then suddenly the impossible infinite combo happens, and you fucking win the game. And there's 3 Krakens just like that.
It's a 1-turn kill.
Yes.
Summon the Kraken happens 6 times in a row and just kills everybody. That's amazing. That's awesing. Like,
I mean, if you're the guy who gets Kraken to death,
you're not gonna be mad at that.
Would you even be mad?
No.
That was incredible. Like, so like there's elements.
I mean, I'd be pissed.
I'd be very upset. Extremely upset.
Stupid games, stupid workhorse, stupid things. But like, in reality, that probably just won't happen. But if it does, it'll be amazing to see on Twitter. It'll be amazing to see on Twitch. It'll be amazing to see replays on YouTube or whatever. It'll be awesome.
Yeah.
So like those moments where I'm saying like OP is kind of okay to a point, because those are some of those most exciting things. They're the most fun things to play, and it takes something special to make it really happen.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's ways to deal with that shit, and they're coming. You're gonna be able to handle that with other classes.
Yeah.
So,
I mean the pirate who increases his D20 rolls.
Yeah.
With this added repeat,
Yeah.
potentially seems like, and I said again, you already called me out on this, but it potentially seems broken. Like,
but the question is there an answer to the question?
Right.
Like, is there an answer to the problem?
Well,
So,
yeah,
like,
seer, he just undoes everything. Doesn't matter.
There already are answers, and there are more coming.
Oh my God! Imagine like a repeat happens like 4 times in a row. The seer survives and then just undoes it all. Holy shit, that'd be wild.
I mean,
Well,
that would be amazing television.
Yeah, that'd be super engaging.
We need to get Hubert on the pod and work on him a little bit to make sure that he allows you to do these things.
I love doing podcasts with Hubert because he like then gives me like the go ahead to say the crazy shit that I want to say.
Yeah.
And so like I joke that he's my babysitter, but also he's like low key my enabler. You know, so yeah. Next time, let's bring.
I like that dynamic.
Yeah.
And the other thing I heard there, esports moments, things like that, just in case it wasn't clear, officially putting our hat in the ring as commentator, broadcasters. So
yeah,
we don't have to expand on that, but
yeah.
It out there.
As a dude who's been a part of a ton of brand new esports scenes that evolve, it all starts with community grassroots stuff, and the way to do it is to just show up and start doing it without anyone's permission.
All right.
Say.
I mean,
so if you guys once a week did 10 selected games or whatever, and you talked
that's a
about
cool
them,
idea. Yeah.
then you would just corner the market immediately, and everyone would know that it could come to you on Tuesday nights to watch gameplay and your analysis, and then boom, you become the household name. So like as soon as Kingdom is like, hey, we want to put up an event, the community will be like, well, you gotta have the box side guys do it because obviously they're the ones doing it. So like you just gotta not make it a choice.
All right, we're gonna clip that soundbite and make it seem like you just said just make the box side guys do it.
Yeah.
I have no decision making power.
It'll help. But also to the chat, there are a lot of other podcasters out there. Just dibs. We're
dibs,
or all do it because that means we have a grassroots competitive scene.
That's the more political.
Well,
but
yeah,
I'm gonna stick with dibs.
Honestly, Bolon has said it several times that he wants to do it too. So
I mean, Bolon would be great at it.
I think he would too.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I think the repeat stuff is very fun, and I am curious on it getting, because it's whatever. I don't. That's a whole other conversation.
We do have a time.
I know. We're limited, so I
can talk about repeat for a long time. I've heard it.
But no. Yeah, let's move on. Cleanse, Purify. I do want to talk about this. This is one of the first times I think, maybe Exhaust and Stun, but where like a change that you made is affecting those traits.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously Cleanse used to be like clear all negative effects, and we changed it from that to Purify being change all negative effects, and Cleanse change one at random.
Yep.
I know we are slow on time, and like there are a couple of questions I want to get to at the end, but what was the thought process there on making that Cleanse Purify change? Just sort of in general, and did the traits being part of that affect that decision?
Yes. So Cleanse was too good. So as a former healer in Heroes of the Storm, Cleanse was my bread and butter. That's all I ever did was cleanse people to save the day. I wanted Cleanse to be really powerful. So I came out of the gates swinging with that design and just like cleanse on fucking everything. You get a cleanse, we all get a cleanse. But then as soon as we started to like actually use it, it was like, oh shit, this is really, really
because it's a basic, it's a very,
And then like suddenly that talent is chosen for you basically in your discipline tree. Like, and back to my earlier point of like, I don't want to make the decision for you as to what you need to pick.
Right.
That's your choice, right? And so if something is overpowered, you just have to pick it because there's no other worthy pick on that tier. That sucks. So cleanse was just so good that we needed to figure out we need something that does what cleanse does right now, and that became Purify. But we also need cleanse to have functionality that is appropriate for its power levels in skill codexes in like where they are placed. And so that came to the one at random.
Mhm.
Now, could that change? Sure. Could it be one that you select? Could it be
Ooh,
half?
I really like that.
Could it be those things? Totally. Someday it could be those things. For now, it's not, and probably won't change until all the basics are out.
Well, my immediate question is, I know exhaust is kind of a unique case, but daze is not cleansable, and I guess why? Like
because time. So
what do you... Give it another one. Give it another one.
Because Area 51. No.
Exactly.
So basically, and this is okay. Okay, how can I say this without a bunch of fucking spoilers?
Just go for it.
Just go for it. Yeah.
Just rip it. So daze is a really important thing, and it represents a design change midstream that is really, really important for the longevity of this game. Which is kind of funny because daze is such like a it's daze. It's not like a huge deal, but like that change marks how it was the first change to mark how we wanted to manipulate time and how time was going to work. Because originally the game was going to be literally you get 3 turns, I get 3 turns, every other. That's how it was going to be. It was just going to be a straight up, slugfest. But as soon as that started happening, we were like, man, this just really isn't as engaging. So now we wanted to create time. So time exists in the game as it stands now. The visual representation, though, is coming. There will be an update that
that's
will
what I
allow.
wanted.
Yep.
Yes.
So like, I'm not exactly sure like what I can say on that front, but like there is a change coming. I think Beetle mentioned it in an AMA. That there is an update that people will like. It will be much easier to understand what is happening.
I don't know if you remember when you guys first introduced the whole like turn order change that you guys made, or speed, I guess I should call it. WoWie drew it on paint on like how like a bar for each hero, and like I would love if that was it. I know you probably can't answer that, but if it was like,
but
like when the bar fills up, it's your turn.
It'll be much more clear and understanding because not only are there things like days that occur that you can't cleanse because it happened. It isn't there isn't a duration to it. It isn't.
Interesting.
It happened.
Okay.
So like you're knocked back X amount of initiative essentially.
Versus like bleed, which is an active,
where it's
ongoing
like rolling, and so you can cleanse that because its effects continue. So that is really what you're seeing, and it will be so much easier to understand that is happening in the nearest future.
Okay. Interesting. Is it so? Hubert's a big Final Fantasy IV fan, right? And the way
he's a big Final Fantasy fan. He pretty much loves them all.
He's mentioned 4, and so I started playing 4 a while back, and they do interesting things with the turn order as far as it's a bar that's kind of filling up for everyone at the same time. That was interesting. Another question about kind of the codexes, the skills, things like that. So, I'm a big fan, and I'm not asking you to comment on this part. I'm just giving a little preface. I'm a big fan of double or matching passives, whether it be double foresight, double, whatever. But a big one that I'm a fan of is double chatterbox, especially on my casters. I was looking through shout out Wowie, his super spec sheet the other day, and I was searching the word silence, and I realized that it didn't show up very often. Is that, for whatever you're willing to say, is that something that you just haven't kind of worked in there yet, or is silence just such a strong move because you're incapacitating a hero that it's going to show up more in the advanced and further up?
Silence magic is really tough to do, and you'd have to be really good at it. Magic to be able to do it.
someone who's contemplated magic for a long time, who's studied a lot, maybe a guru or a sage, if you will.
Man, you guys are not even ready for Sage. Holy shit.
I know.
Holy shit.
If you looked at my hero army, you would know I'm not ready for Sage. I have no good ones.
It's gonna be, yeah, there'll be more of it. I mean, there's gonna be more random stuff. Basically, though, basic classes have introduced the mechanics that you will see. Now, one of the sneaky things that I'm trying to do, which Hubert, if you're watching, you can
Earmuffs.
Yep. So, how summoning works, and when you pair up classes, sometimes it doesn't make sense, like where that class comes from. Like, why does Dark Knight exist from those? And like that is just literally a convention of the technology at the time and where the game was.
Right.
But now that we are here today, when it comes to PvP and PvE and how we're designing all these codices, we get to decide kind of how they evolve too. So like conceptually, the priest has some foundational magic that will be found in others who use magic similar. Not the same, maybe more potent, maybe tweaked in a certain way, but that is also holds true with other classes. So as you climb up, basically thematically, where magic could come from or where it is derived from will end up in a different place later on. A more advanced, more potent, more whimsical, even ways.
I mean, obviously, Dungeons and Dragons, like very famously, there's like kind of two, ish categories of like where magic come from. Either it's arcane or the gods or whatever from like priest and druid and stuff like that. So like, is that something you're like thinking about, like the lore aspects of it?
Oh,
like while you're
100%.
Wow. Okay.
So like. Oh, okay. I can't talk about it.
I know we're wrapping up. We don't want to. Yeah. We'll save it for another episode. But
Sounds
like,
good.
just saying yes to that question is interesting in terms of
I want it to all make sense. Like,
well, and we can go speculate that. Yeah. We'll speculate that for the next few weeks.
Thanks
there
for all the content. We're
for a
little while.
You bet, and I'll come back whenever you guys want.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. I had a couple rapid fire. What is the next codex that's going to go live on Boar Hunt?
Not telling.
Okay. What is the next advanced codex we're going to see?
Ooh, not telling.
Okay. When Dread Knight. Oh, you were about to ask.
He assumed.
Well, I do think about every so often taking a screenshot of a spreadsheet of a random talent from a future class and just putting it up and saying, like,
we'd eat it up. We'd eat it up. Yeah.
So maybe I'll ask for approval on that one. We'll see if the marketing folks will be cool with that.
Love it.
Yeah.
I do have one last kind of it's an actual question here. So like, I know when you're building a game, right, it's a process, and oftentimes the community kind of looks ahead like we're doing now with these questions, right? But things won't make sense unless they're released in kind of a certain cadence. So like, but one thing that I know a lot of the community has been talking about and asking about, and it's a high priority for them, when do you expect a Bogside themed POI on the map?
I mean, any day.
Did the lead-in trick you there? You thought you were getting ready for?
Good. Yeah, it's good.
If they do make a land that's called Bogside and they don't give it to us, I'm going to be very upset.
They would have to
be given NFTs now.
Yeah,
I mean the lands especially.
The team is just giving land away at this point.
Why not? We're all having fun here.
Everybody would understand. Nobody would be mad. I don't think. All right. So yeah, last question that I said I would ask this. Is there anything you can share with us right now? Anything, any kind of thing you've been approval of or they let you that we haven't asked yet that you're willing to share?
So I did ask permission to share alpha.
Okay.
I was denied.
Oh.
But what I can say is the reason why I was denied is because there is a metric fuck ton of shit coming.
That's awesome.
And it's just I can't talk about it because it's like all kind of happening, but like there's a lot happening in parallel. There's a lot of cool stuff that I don't think anyone's even thought of yet that's going to happen, which is kind of fun. Like, the team has been really cool with just like, we're just not going to talk about this stuff publicly, and then we're just going to release it. And I think that's pretty exciting.
Yeah, that's the way to do it.
I
Yeah.
like that.
For
I like
me as
that
a
lot.
fan and a player, like that stuff gets me
Yeah.
crazy. Just wake up on a Monday and like, boom, oh my God, there's like a whole thing now. Like,
Yeah.
that's
There
really
goes
fun.
my week. I'm doing this
Yeah.
all week.
Exactly.
So like, what I can say is just like what I feel as a fan, that gets to work on this game, which is like, there is so much coming, and think about it. I was working on this game for 14 months before anyone saw anything that I was working on come to light. So what was I doing for those 14 months? And what's coming up?
Is this a
You
riddle?
know?
Is this a riddle? No, that's awesome.
Like,
that's awesome. I mean,
so things
you
are
don't need to tell
coming.
us. We're super.
Yeah.
We're in. We're super excited. Yeah.
So it's coming.
All right.
Yeah, that's
Very
the
cool.
alpha.
Awesome.
Very good. Well, Workhorse, Ian, thank you so much for being on. This was
Yes,
like
thank
super
you.
fun. We love chatting with you, and we are going to take you up on bringing you back. We're
Yeah,
going to
I'd love
bring
to.
you
That'd
back.
be a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
So
We'll bring Hubert, and I'll join your side. We'll just ask him.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
I would love that. Yeah. Fran's final thoughts, questions? Did I miss anything?
No, I can barely see straight. That was a lot, and I'm gonna need to rewatch.
Well, I'm
it a
gonna
few
have to
times.
rewatch it myself. Actually, shout out Sir Worm is going live
Yes,
after us. Go
yes.
check out him. He's got a lot of smart takes. All right, so Workhorse, thank you so much for being on. This has been an episode of Bogside Chats. For Franz, my name is Matty Pesk. Thank you guys for joining us, and we'll catch you next week.
Bye, everybody.
Love you guys.
And end.